major tonality, where the resting tone is do. Sing do, do. You have already learned that the grand staff is made up of 2 5-line staves, where the top staff is a treble staff and the bottom staff is the bass staff. They are joined together by a brace, and that is how you get a grand staff. If you need to review the grand staff video from Innovative Piano and Innovation D, please do that before continuing. If you see one sharp in the do signature, also known as the key signature, this means that do is G. If you see one flat in the do signature, also called a key signature, it means that do is F. If you don't see any sharps or flats in the do signature, also known as the key signature, it means that do is C. And these first 3 major keys, G major, F major, and C major, are the ones that we will be focusing on first. When there's one sharp in the key signature, do is G, and here are all the G's on the grand staff. This one right here is your landmark note, treble G. See the red line? Notice the relationship of the G's to the landmark lines, treble G and bass F. And then practice finding these 4 G's on your piano. If you are on a standard 88 key piano, treble G will be G4, and the G sitting on top of the treble will be G5. The one closest to the bass F landmark note on that top space of the bass clef will be G3, and on the first line of the bass clef will be G2. And there are still some other G's on your keyboard, but these are the only ones that are on the staff, and you will need either ledger lines or an octave sign, which we will discuss more later, to indicate other G's. Also notice that the blue line goes on the F line in both clefs. In the G clef, the F line is the top line. In the bass clef, of course, that's our landmark note. The blue line is the F landmark line. And you will notice that the sharp sits with that line. That's telling us that F is sharp when we are in the key of G do. And that's really what makes G, G. G major is defined by having one sharp and resting on do. Here it is one more time. And then we're going to talk about F do. Notice that there's the one flat. These are the 4 F's on the piano. One of them is your landmark line in the bass clef. Through the dots of the bass clef, you have your landmark F, and then you can use the relationship of the landmark notes to help you find other F's. Go ahead and practice finding these 4 F's on your keyboard. If you are using a keyboard that is less than 88 keys, things will not always line up exactly right, but if you're on a standard 88 key piano, the F on the landmark bass line right here, that will be F3. Below it, hanging down off the bass clef, is F2. Up in the treble clef, right underneath the lower neighbor of G, right underneath the G line, is F4. And the top line of the treble clef is F5. And there are still a few other F's, but once again, you would need ledger lines or an octave symbol to identify those. Come on. This blue line shows you where the flat falls. The blue line is the B line. It is the letter B on the staff. And when you see that flat on the B line in each staff, it's telling you that in F Do, there will be a B flat. So when you build a major scale on F, you will ultimately end up with a B flat in the scale. And that is what gives F Do its own signature. Here is C Do. There are lots of C's to find because C is a really special note. We know about middle C. Middle C is one of our very important landmark notes. And also treble C, which is up 3 spaces, and bass C, which is down 3 spaces, are another set of landmark notes to help you on your staff identification. And then we also have some ledger lines, which are little short lines that only appear when they're needed. So when we need to go to the extreme ends of the piano, or if we need to extend the middle of the staff up and down, we can use those ledger lines to help us accomplish that. Remember that middle C in the treble clef and middle C in the bass clef, though they look like they are far apart from each other, they're really the same note. We discussed in class that the reason you have the blank space between the two staves is to put things like dynamics and articulations, or if you're singing a song with words, you might have the lyrics there. But just remember that when you see middle C in the treble clef, play it with your right hand, generally speaking. And when you see middle C in the left hand, play it with your left hand in the bass clef, generally speaking. And then go ahead and locate all of these C's on your piano. Once again, here are your clef lines, and you'll notice that middle C is a fifth away from treble G and a fifth away from bass F. And you might also notice that it is a fourth, treble C is a fourth away from treble G, and bass C is a fourth away from bass F. So you've got kind of this mirror image thing going on. That was your reminder about G Do, F Do, and C Do. Right now, we're only dealing in major keys, so our resting tone is going to be Do. Pretty soon, we'll start dealing with minor keys, and there is a minor key for each of these major keys that will also have the same key signature, but we'll get to that later. Please make sure you understand about G Do, F Do, and C Do, and that you have also watched the reading videos for G Do. F Do will be in your workbook by the end of today, and you can begin on your F Do patterns.